So today we wanted to talk about um, your personal brand. Every one of you and me, Folake, everyone present here, we have our personal brand, and not always we realize, you know, the strengths of it. So today we can, talk about it more in depth and see how we can build it, stronger, and how we can use it and protect it in within our professional image. So I sort of did a small description already here, but again, that's the whole reason why we're here today, to talk about your personal branding and application of it in real life. Before we go too far, I want everyone to type in a chat, a person who you admire and why you admire them. It can be just, first name or first name, last name, so we know who that is, and their quality. Maybe they're reliable, or maybe they're creative, honest or funny, or whatever it is. You can use your family members, or you can use some public figures. Um, okay, do we have any answers in the chat? Okay, you can help me if you don't mind.
Yes. So I see a response that says, my mother is a role model. And I love that. And you want to share the qualities that that person, so it's not just telling us who it is, but we want to hear about those qualities that someone does have that you admire. So those qualities could be patience, it could be being resourceful, whatever it is, integrity. We want to hear from you all. Let's know in the chat box, what are those qualities that you do admire in someone else? The ones you most admire.
I'll give you an example. I admire Captain America from the Marvel movie series. I admire him because of his leadership skills. He's might not be the strongest person out there, but he has his own strengths and he's able to demonstrate it. So that's I do have other people, but I just thought it's funny.
The Captain America, right? So I'm seeing more responses there, and I'm seeing so many fantastic qualities here. I'm seeing patience, flexibility, I'm seeing courage, integrity, proactivity, and someone has an additional story to say about why her mom is that person she does admire. She was into banking and she was well organized, managing both family and professional life. That is truly demanding and should be admired. Awesome there. And there's also kindness without expecting anything in return. That is awesome. That's the highest level of giving in as in giving out what you have without expecting anything in return. Right. There is also being resilient and resourceful, being deep and simple, positive attitude, creativity, positive energy. So there are many of them in that chat, and that's all beautiful. I'll hand it back to you, Dennis.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. So now you see that some of you value, one quality over the other, and it's totally okay. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. So let's see how these qualities can connect with our personal brand and how they can be impacted by your social media presence. But before we go further, we keep talking about this word, but what is brand? What do you, again, maybe in 1-2 words, try to put in a chat, what do you think brand is? I know we have a sort of a hint here. We have a Nike shoe, but you can also see RBC logo.
Do that in the chat, and I'll just read them out to Dennis. So use the chat to tell us, what do you think is a brand? And I see someone already responding saying something that represents you, what everyone is known for, or your identity.
Awesome.
And this person is saying that he admires his wife Christina because she's very supportive, shows him how to never let go. And another thing about branding I see in the chat, what people remember about you, what makes you different and desirable, how you represent yourself, what people think you are. And in all honesty, it's all encompassing. The impression you leave, I love that as well. So, Dennis, what is a
Thank you.
brand?
Everyone is a, well, all of those are the brand. That's the. I don't even think we need to spend more time here, but again, the brand is just the way you represent yourself. Let's go a little bit further and look at this logo here on the screen. And what do you guys think about? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you look at this logo? We all know what it is, right? It's McDonald's. So anything that
Yes.
associated for you with McDonald's.
Yeah, and I can see a lot of people responding something about this very, very popular brand. So I see burgers, cheap, affordable meals, McDonald's, fries, fast food, available everywhere, quick and fast. What else?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere you can somewhere you can head to buy something to eat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A well-known fast food chain. And this simply is all about the McDonald's brand, right?
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
This description we've seen already in the chat does describe the McDonald's brand. Over to you, Dennis.
Yeah, thank you. And everything, all of your answers align. That means that McDonald's did a great job of, projecting their brand, right? We use different words to describe it, but they still go in the same direction. And again, maybe that's not the healthiest choice out there, but that's not what McDonald's is going for. Everyone has their own strengths, and you named a few of those for McDonald's. But for companies, the brand is just how they see themselves and how the public sees them. So the brand is about their image and reputation. And the ultimate goal for McDonald's or any other company is to have a positive and professional image, right? You want to take it seriously, and you want to be happy about it. And again, McDonald's is something reliable out there. Whenever in a time jam and you need to refuel, you can rely on McDonald's. You can stop by and grab whatever your favorite meal is, and keep your day going. So a good brand is consistent no matter where you go, right? McDonald's is a global company. And in every country there is McDonald's that serves you different meals, but it manages to create still the same impression, right? Like you can go to McDonald's in Germany, in China, or in Canada, and you'll be surprised with how the menu looks like. But it's still going to be same quality level, same service, something that resembles in every country across the globe. Okay, so we talked about companies having brands, how they build it, and why they do it this way. But what about every one of you here, right? I think everyone knows now that we all have a brand, right? We talked about it from the very beginning. You might not have worked on your brand that much, but you might not even think about it on a daily basis, but you still have it. It's an important opportunity to build your personal brand with intent. You know how they say when you move to a different city, you can start your new self. No one knows you there. So it's your opportunity to start from the scratch. So when you become conscious about your brand, that's the great start when you can think about how you want other people see you, what you want them to think when they see you. And in the next slide, we can look at some elements that come to the brand, because brand is not only how other people see you. It reflects through different things. It starts with who you are. You know, you can't build brand on a fake promises. You probably, everyone heard this saying, fake it until you make it. And sometimes it might work, but it's not going to work with a brand, right? You can't fake your personal brand. You have to be really honest with who you are. You know, if, for example, I was just thinking about myself. I strive to be reliable. I know that I joined the presentation right on 10, and maybe that's not the best thing, but I joined the presentation regardless, you know, wherever my morning looks like. And in general, I strive to deliver my promises. That's something who I am, and it's going to reflect from what I say, you know, how I communicate to other people, but also about what I do, because I can talk about a lot of things, but not necessarily, you know, doing all of that. So your personal brand is a straight correlation between all of these elements, you know, knowing who you are, you know, not lying to yourself about who you are, accepting your strengths and weaknesses equally, then being able to talk about it, you know, project your personal brand through different ways. We can see here, you know, you can project it in person by talking to someone, at work, at home. And then the next step from that is what you do, how you dress, how you act at work, at home, with your friends. It all comes together to create a brand. And this brand is also represented beside your real self. Right now we have social media, and this is like extension of your brand, extension of you. And when you go to sleep, you know, your social media profile stays up. And it's very important to know what's up there, right? How other people see you there. Because, you know, again, on one side, you can, in person, you can demonstrate certain values and you can try hard to project yourself, right? But then if you're not really paying too much attention to social media, but you're still present there, are you sure that it represents the same person that you are in real life? I'll pass it to Folake, and she can talk more about you know, how social media affects your personal brand and, you know, what to do with it.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for taking us through understanding what a personal brand is. And remember, as Dennis said, at the center of your brand is your purpose, your core values, your beliefs. And he has also made it clear that your personal brand includes what you say, how you say it, what you share about the value you bring to your work, friends, family, and more. And of course, what you do, which is your visible qualities, and the things that others see and experience, or the perception and the expectation others form of you, which should match who you are at the core. Like he said, don't try to fake it till you make it. No, it has to be you. It has to be who you are at the core, your purpose, your core values and beliefs. And it's important to talk about what the online platform has to offer us these days, because one way or the other, we all find ourselves expressing ourselves and showing off our personal brand through social media. So keep this in mind. What makes a good corporate brand also applies to a good personal brand. Like we've seen in the case of McDonald's, everybody has an impression about their reputation. So what it takes to build that brand, McDonald's, is similar to what it takes as well to build your personal brand. You'd have to want to be consistent, positive, and building a professional branding that shows others how you want to be seen. Always keep in mind that your brand is about, that's your image and reputation. So if not all of us, at least most of us have online presence, and how you represent yourself on that internet space can have major impacts on your professional reputation. You'll be very amazed and surprised that these two are connected in many ways. People can easily form an opinion about you by just checking out your social media profile and posts. Think about the brand that you're building on social media. So whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, whatever platform it is, think about the kind of posts, pictures, comments, and all. What did they say about you? I know that you might be thinking that, oh, there is privacy settings to protect, but you might be wrong. You don't want to post those crazy pictures that when group filters actually bring them up, it doesn't really take out, or it just bypasses your own privacy settings. So for example, if a friend has posted something that is supposed to be seen by all his friends, yes, your own setting might say privacy, but his own might not. So you have to be careful what you allow people to put out there on your behalf. I will go to the next slide. Now, talking about, the kind of things that you might be finding on the internet. This is an example of what an online presence might say about someone. A kind of post that say, got super drunk last night and supposed to be working. My whatever of a boss won't stop bothering me. Or a post that says something like, just finished an interview at blah, blah, blah company. The company is full of idiots. How do they even get jobs? So I want to take a quick poll. If you are, for instance, the hiring manager, will you hire someone who posts things like this about the organization? Say it in the chat, I want to see it. Or would you on your own post this kind of a thing on your social media account? Say a yes or a no. And if you're saying a yes to this kind of a post, why would you post this? And if you're saying a no, I also want to hear why. I can see a never, not a chance. No, no, no. So why do you think you wouldn't do this? I want to hear something more. Just type a short phrase saying why you would not do this to your own social media handles. I'm just giving you a moment to type. Good. So I can see a note that says, you don't want to burn bridges. And that is the truth. You really don't want to burn bridges. Another one says, no, I don't want a new problem in my workplace. That is the reality. Yes, you might have some grudges here and there, but it's not professional. I like that word, Venus. It's not professional to take social media as the platform to show off your grudges, okay? Living in the digital and social media age makes it a lot more difficult, as one accidental tweet can cause lots of embarrassment, trust me. Let's look at the next slide. It's talking about thinking twice before you post. You want to think twice before you post, and I can see other things that's coming in there. It affects your brand and identity negatively. It's a bad, and that's the reality. There are attitude issues. Why would you want to tell people that you are a disrespectful person? I love that. A personality is stronger than your skills. Trust me, I like that. In the future, you will look for a new job. It will backfire. That is so true. It's unprofessional to type things like that. Not at all due to my personal ethics. I love that. Everyone has personal ethics. And of course, it shows your true character. Look at this as well. Cisco just offered me a job. Now I have to weigh the utility of a fatty paycheck against the daily commute to San Jose and hating the work. Another one says, my boss is a complete idiot. The company I work for is ridiculous. Truly, I can't even articulate the lack of professionalism and organization. This is another example that we don't want to see. It doesn't align with who you are or your brand, right? So you don't want anybody seeing this on your profile. So just put yourself in the shoes of a hiring manager or even a recruiter for just a moment. Looking at all of these, what would you do if you come across posts like this from your employees or your potential employees? And I can see all of the responses in your chat. They are so correct. And this is why you must think twice before you post. Let's go to the next slide. And thinking twice before you post is very vital because certain statistics have shown that 90% of employers hired directly from social media in the year 2020. We all know the story of 2020. When the pandemic happened, everybody went virtual. There was no opportunity to do in-person meetings and things like that because of the need for social distancing. So in that year alone, 90% of employers reverted to the virtual world. And of course, social media platforms played a very good part in the process. This is actually good news because if you're doing it right, your strong, positive online presence could position you for future opportunities and career growth. And of course, this takes us into the segment of talking about your professional presence. Let's go to the next slide. Now, we talked about what the things that you should not do and the things that you should do when you're using that platform. But let's talk about a good professional presence, right? It could be shown off in person or on virtual platforms. So your professional presence at work, in the areas that have to do with careers, networking, and things like that, you're showing off your professional presence. And you want to make a very good first impression because that is going to be more like a branding. People say that your first impression lasts longer. So you want to give a very, very good first professional presence or professional impression. And it could be shown, like I said, in person or on virtual platforms. The professional presence is simply defined as how you show yourself to others in professional settings, whether in person or virtually. It is what you say and how you say it, how you act, your body language, how you dress, how you interact with others, and so much more. It's an important part of your personal brand because a good professional image can help others have a positive impression of you and want to get to know you better. For professional presence professional presence in person, there are two things you can do to put your best self forward. Number one is your body language. Yes, in person, this was maybe 90% of the time before the pandemic. Everything was being done in person, in person, in person. In that case, you needed to take care of your body language. Think about how you carry yourself and how that tells people about who you are. There is one TED Talk that I would highly recommend to help you about the body language. It helps you with the area of your body language when it comes to your professional presence. It was done by Amy Cuddy. Amy is spelled A-M-Y and Cuddy is spelled C-U-D-D-Y. And her TED Talk was titled, "Your Body Language Shapes Who You Are." You will learn some expert tips on how to use body language. And another thing you could also do for your professional presence in person is dressing for success. Yes, your carriage is one, but also dressing for success is another. Show who you are by how you present yourself to others. So it does not mean that you must always have to show up in a suit and a tie, no. But neat, tidy clothes, tied shoes, putting yourself together will go a long way to making a good impression. And to tell you the truth, even when you have to show up for virtual meeting, show up all dressed up for success. You know, there is a level of confidence that you radiate when you're dressed for success, even if it's a virtual meeting. So I tell candidates who are preparing for interviews that even if they are scheduled for virtual interviews, dress as though you'll be evaluated on your appearance. You know, it just adds some confidence to your total packaging. All right. So we talked about the professional presence in terms of in person. Let's also talk about the one in terms of the virtual platform, because it's not limited to in-person interactions only. You know, it also ties to your virtual professional presence. And one great place to show off your personal branding and professional presence is on LinkedIn. So let's talk a bit about LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great platform that does 4 things for you. And I'm sure many of you here are already aware of LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is a great platform that does 4 things for you. It helps you to develop your professional brand and your voice. It connects you to the professional world. It helps you stay informed, and importantly, gets you hired. Of course, the primary focus of today's presentation is all around that professional branding. However, we are happy to add that bonus of other things that LinkedIn could do for you. So let's talk about the first one, building your professional branding on LinkedIn. All right. So it's about building your presence on that virtual platform. And it always starts with having that checklist around what your profile should have or what it should include. So this should include things like your interests, your values, the abilities, or what you can do. And of course, it has to include your qualities. It involves writing your story, which we're going to be treating later in this same presentation. It's going to include that your elevator pitch. We'll talk about how to write those in a moment, okay? Now let's look at the next one, the next slide. The next one talks about your profile versus your resume. Your LinkedIn profile is not equal to your resume. So don't assume that you can just copy and paste and you have a resume. No, let's talk about the difference, okay? You can hear that the profile is similar to a resume, but there are big differences between your LinkedIn profile and your resume. Your profile will speak to all potential employers, not just a single one, and goes into much more details with skills, projects, interests, certifications, and more. But your resume, on the other hand, is tailored to a role, and it is meant to speak to a particular employer who is looking for someone to fill a particular role, okay? The LinkedIn profile also allows other professionals and employers to interact with you, learn about you, and of course, contact you if your professional presence strikes a chord and leaves a lasting impression. The profile also includes recommendations and endorsements, which you can obtain from your connections. And the profile, once complete, helps you build your resume and cover letter, and at times can help you prepare for a big interview. Okay. Now, since we're talking about the LinkedIn profile, a great profile picture is necessary, as it has been proven to get you 14 times more views. Okay, let's talk about editing that profile. Ensure you've added your location, industry, education and certifications, work, internship, volunteer experiences, your skills, programs or organizations and recommendations. And with all these in place, you are set to develop your professional voice. Let's talk about the next thing that the LinkedIn can do for you. The next slide, please. So the next thing that LinkedIn can do for you is to connect you. Once your professional branding is in place, you are set to start strategically connecting with the professional world. Some of you might have already figured this out, so this may just be a refresher. Okay, let's talk about how to strategically connect to your the world. But let's start by talking about building that professional network. Okay, and that will be on the slide about building. Yeah, you got it. So building your professional network has to do with, expanding it strategically, discovering existing connections, and of course, searching for new connections in order to expand that network strategically, right? You have your voice. Now you want to build your connections and expand it in a strategic form. So it's not just adding everybody addable or connecting to everybody connectable, but you have to do it strategically. Let's go to the next slide where we'll talk about doing it strategically. All right. So talking about strategically expanding that network, you can connect with people that you already have something in common with, or even people who have a job or work with a company that interests you. That is being strategic. You can also connect with people who may be able to connect you to someone who can help you achieve your goals. The person could become a mentor. The person could be that coach. The person could be the one to show you how to achieve your career goals. And of course, importantly, follow companies that you admire or desire to work for. Okay. And then when connecting with someone strategically, Don't just connect, but remember this. Include, who you are when you're connecting. Include who you are. Include how you found their profile. Talk about how you can help that person. Yes, you're the one reaching out, but talk about how you can help that person and perhaps how that person can help you, because people are very busy. So you really want to get to the point, but do it in a professional and friendly manner. And the final part of this, let's talk about staying informed and getting hired, which are the last bits of LinkedIn that we'd like to cover today. Talking about staying informed, it's important to stay connected to the companies that matter to you by following them. Find the company's page, search, use the search feature. Look for the name of the company. Following them helps you stay on top of news, trends, and even new product launches for that company. You can also follow key industry influencers to stay on top of key trends, topics, and insights from the people that you respect and admire. And when you follow an influencer, you can see their activities across LinkedIn in your feed. All right. And to wrap up this segment, let's talk about the fourth thing that LinkedIn could do for you, which is get hired or build your career. Simply search for hashtags that could help you in your job search. So for example, use the hashtag job search or job opening, now hiring, resume, hashtag jobs, hashtag careers. You can also let employers and recruiters know that you are actively looking for a job by setting yourself as an open candidate and update your career interests. And of course, referrals, and I say again, referrals are a great way to get your foot in the door. Never you forget that your network is indeed your net worth. So use it. If you have a connection at a company that you like to work for, ask them for an introduction or a referral. It is legal. You're not doing anything wrong by asking for a referral. It is permitted. It's allowed. You are allowed to leverage your network to get you where you want to be in your career. So to wrap it up, it's all been said regarding your virtual professional presence. Remember to build your profile that promotes your brand. Expand your network because your network is your net worth. And of course, make your career interests very clear. Have a voice by sharing with your network and learning from others. So at this point, I'm going to be handing things back to Dennis to tell us exactly how to write that compelling story that ensures that your values align with what you say and what you do, with the aim of arriving at the point of always leaving a positive impression on of your image and reputation, which I know is the goal of everyone who is here today. Over to you, Dennis.
Thank you, Folake. That was great. I like the part about it's legal to ask for referral. It's completely legal, and actually, if you're applying for a job in a bank, since we represent the bank, it will give you some points to who you are, to your character, because you can go after that business, right? You have the guts to do the cold call, to knock on the door first, to do the first step. So it tells about you a lot. And if you remember that diagram with 3 circles, what you do, it's also related to who you are, right? Like you have that courage in you, right? And again, courage was one of the values we talked about as well. So we talked about a lot of things. Folake, thank you for sharing so many tips about LinkedIn and social media, all the do's and don'ts. I think we all got a good understanding of what brand is. And I know you guys had it. I just hope that we build a solid foundation now. So if you were to ask me again, what the brand is, that's something that people say about you when you leave the room. It's a pretty, I guess, powerful message when you create that impression on people, and then when you leave, you don't have to be present. Your brand is going to keep doing the job. Your reputation is going to continue what you have started. But sometimes we have all of necessary qualities. We might even have the good social media, but we struggle with telling the story. And this is very common, especially with people who are less outgoing. They haven't used to socialize as much. So on the next slide, we got a few tips about how to tell a story. Let's start with just a personal story. This could be an exercise, and I would strongly encourage you to try this. Maybe make a screenshot of this slide and then practice by yourself. Because this framework of I'm good at, I value certain things, I'm interested in, and then I have experience with, I look forward to developing, and I hope one day. So if you fill out those sentences by yourself, you will already have a pretty good story that can tell a lot of things about you. You can show some skills, some experience that you had, again, some interests or something that you aspire towards, things that you're working on, learning, and who you want to become one day. Again, this can be applied in your personal life. Maybe you just want to create a good impression. If you're meeting the parents of your partner, all of us were there at some point of time, and we want to have a good impression. But you can also apply this framework to the professional environment. And in professional environment, there is a different name for it. It's not just your story, it is your elevator pitch. Oh, I'm sorry, our slides moved up a little bit, but you can see it is elevator pitch. And again, it is your story in professional environment. And gathering from the previous slide, there are three components to this. Exactly who you are, and then what's unique about you. Why are you different from many other people or professionals in this industry? And it doesn't have to be something very rare, right? It doesn't have to be something that like no one else does. It's just something that you do well, right? Because all of us, we have, again, as we discovered in past, different set of skills and values. And we do certain things well. And it's about that combination, because not all of us will have the same combination. And that's what exactly unique. It's not like specific skill. And don't worry about that you might think, okay, well, I am reliable, I'm always come on time, I'm hardworking, and well, I don't think I'm unique. Well, maybe, combining it together with the rest of your skills, that's what is going to make you unique. The human being that you are is what's unique about you. So again, never look down on yourself, especially when you're trying to practice the elevator pitch. It's time to brag. And through elevator pitch, you want to show what you have to offer, right? Again, whether you're looking for a job or whether you're talking about some project that you're working on, you always have to have some sort of call to action, right? When you type in an email, an email can be some sort of an elevator pitch, especially if it's something like your first email, right? You can describe the situation, what's happening, and then always finish it with a wrap up. You connect into someone on LinkedIn, and you can say, I would like to follow you or to stay connected. Add something to that. Add, would you have a moment for virtual or coffee in real life, so I can learn about your professional and career growth, and something like that. You need to add some sort of call to action. And again, this is suggesting the next step. So there are different tips, as you can see here on the screen. They really align with what we talked about the brand before. You have to be honest about yourself. Be authentic, because if you're not authentic, if you're faking it, it's not going to sound sincere. Me and Folake, we work in a bank, and we practice a lot of skills here. The banks have a lot of products, and we have different suggestions or tips of how to talk about this product. And sometimes those scripts, if you just go word to word with it, you will sound robotic for sure. And that's what some people do. And unfortunately, they are maybe not the greatest advisors, because they don't try to understand it, and they don't try to explain it through their own words. So that's what your elevator pitch has to be. You know, it has to sound natural, short, concise. If you talk too much, as I am right now at this slide, no one's going to listen to you. So again, you have to try to wrap it up and then pass it to the other person. You know, make a pause, let them talk. Refining an elevator pitch takes time. You know, as practicing any other skills. You know, you will start to stumble. So you can practice it with your friends, practice in front of the mirror. Again, there are many elements to elevator pitch that there can be. You know, it has to be clear, concise, compelling. My biggest thing is that elevator pitch has to communicate some value. You know, it's the most important part. Maybe if you stumble, maybe if you chose the wrong word, or maybe it's a bit longer, but if you have the value in the elevator pitch, this is the greatest part that you can do. You know, make sure that you just not just take 2 minutes of time of the other person and leave them with nothing. You know, there has to be some message at the end of it. And the elevator pitch, you know, we talk about it normally as about something you do in person, but again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, it can be an email, it can be introduction on LinkedIn. Yes, it will have to be a little bit different, right? Because you type something, so you really need to think about, are you making any mistakes? Are you grammatically correct? You know, there are other things to it, because you can't type the same way as you talk. But it's a good skill to have that will serve you regardless which industry you work in, whether you're trying to sell something or not. It just, again, demonstrating your ideas. So I know we are getting close to be at time, and I want to leave you with the quote of Jay Danzy that is pretty powerful, I guess, and can wrap up sort of this portion of our presentation. So your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. We talked about it, right? You want to create certain impression when you leave the room. So this is what this quote about. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us for the first part of this presentation.